The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
What's up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web, The System is Down. The place where we talk about conspiracies, politics, and religion and all things uncomfortable. This is Dan Smots, as you know. Sorry, I'm a little flustered because this episode was supposed to come out on Monday. This is on a case that is currently unraveling, and it's unraveling faster than we can keep up with. It's really bizarre. This happened just last week. We recorded this episode on Tuesday. It was like 6 days in then, so breaking news for us. We had just found out about it that day and dug up all the information that we could. It's Thursday now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up and put it out because so much more has come out just since Tuesday that a lot of this stuff is not the latest news on the story. So this is basically what we knew as of Tuesday. You could basically call it like an introduction to this thing, and we're planning on keeping up with it a little bit tighter. Hopefully we'll be able to get back together, Craig and I, and talk about this more, give you guys some updated information on it, but I think it's such an important one. It's so telling that it needs to be put out right now. It can't wait till Monday. It can't wait until, way more stuff comes out. This is the world we live in, folks. I know probably none of you even know what I'm talking about yet. You don't know what this case is because it's not in the news. It's not anywhere. It's not trending on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. Why? If somebody can explain why, I would really appreciate it. But before we jump into it, I'm going to say what the latest tidbit that came out that I heard is that I don't have all the details, but I heard that they did find children's body parts in one of these camps. So it's getting more and more real, and that was the bit that forced me to say, you know what, screw it, let's put it out there. Let's put this episode out early. I may or may not have anything new for you on Monday. This is Monday's episode, technically. I might put together another episode if there's enough new information by then, and if I have time. I've got a busy schedule this weekend, but I'm going to do my best to get you guys the latest information on this story because it is very important. Go join the Downers Club. I'm not going to talk about it too much. tsidpod.com/support. That's what helps keep us doing this. If I could quit my job where I film weddings, I wouldn't be busy this weekend. If I was able to do just this, I'd give you guys daily updates happily. I wish that I could do that, so go join. We're now on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/The System is Down, get all the bonus content and a whole bunch of other stuff. All right, let's get into this. This is news to me. It's news to everyone. Very bizarre case that's going on right now with this hashtag Operation Backyard Brawl, and you can call this basically the intro. This is what we knew on Tuesday. Stay tuned. Well, we're here to talk about a new topic in the news today that is not trending, sadly, and needs to be. Seems like I only ever have Craig on the main podcast when we're talking about sad stuff. So, Craig, how are you doing today?
Really depressed after that introduction.
For those of you that are new here, Craig is my brother and co-host guy. We'll say guy.
What, like very, very part-time co-host?
Right. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a downer episode because there's some stuff that's going on in the world that it kind of ties back to maybe some of the pedogate, Pizzagate, stuff like that. Yeah, I know it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but as I always say, if there's any shred of truth to it, then it definitely needs to be talked about. And it seems like, I mean, with Pizzagate, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are ways we, like in our episodes, we tried to make sense of it. We tried to give people the benefit of the doubt and come up with a way that this isn't horrifying. It was really difficult, but in this new case that is less than a week old, it is way more difficult in my opinion. Craig, you turned me on to this topic earlier today, and I said, hey, let's push all the other main episodes back and let's get this out there as quickly as possible. So you want to tell everybody what we're talking about?
So, I was just kind of pointed towards this today, and like you said, this has been going on for almost a week now. It's to the point now where people are coming against it and saying, "Oh, that's a bunch of BS and stuff." So, how we found out about it today versus a week ago is beyond me. That's how little it's being talked about. But
Right.
this is the story. I'm gonna just read a little bit just to give us an introduction to what's going on. This article says, a few days ago, a group of veterans based out of Tucson, Arizona, known as Veterans on Patrol, or VOP, stumbled upon what they have good evidence to believe is a child sex camp. Hang on just a second. I'm going to turn myself down. Believe is a child sex camp. The group was searching for homeless veterans, part of their mission in trying to prevent veteran suicide. So these guys go around Tucson looking for these homeless camps, veteran homeless camps, and then it's kind of like an outreach thing towards them. Says this is a worthy mission considering the fact that more soldiers die by suicide than by combat. On May 29th, the group was out with another organization called American Rehab Campuses, trying to pull drug addicts off the streets, particularly those caught up in the opioid crisis. They stumbled upon something by chance, and it was in a known human trafficking corridor with ties to the Mexican cartels. This is apparently the first report published by VOP's Lewis Arthur on what happened that night. There's a video here of the guy that stumbled across it. Says when they found a structure powered by solar lights, they knew right away they had found something that certainly was not constructed by homeless people or drug addicts. They found an underground chamber where young children apparently had been imprisoned, presumably as part of a pedophile sex trafficking ring. Here's a video recording of the underground chamber, and this is the video actually I want to play, so we can
Why don't you go ahead and pull it up? We're doing things a little bit differently tonight. We have the ability to share screens and share audio and fun things that we have not done before. We are ramping up production for you, the listeners, thanks to your generous contributions. So we'll be throwing in all the audio for audio listeners and video for people watching us on YouTube.
All right, here is this video.
This is a prison cell. Only kids are being held down here. I can tell you exactly how. We'll come in. I remember this whole thing they built over to conceal this. And there's a plastic tube chamber in here where the kids are going in and out. We'll shine my light. You see a piece of wood, and it looks like that the wood gets slid down there, and the kids are crawling up. If you look down in there when they let them out,
yeah.
But there's different toys down there, little food bags.
This is probably the most disturbing part right here.
Right.
And that board's used to slide them up.
Yeah.
The only way, because they're not going to reach down in there and grab them. So I guess they're having them slide up. This is all the way down there. A child's not going to be able to get out of here. Small child.
I'll pause that. I'll kind of describe what we're seeing for the people that are only going to listen to it. It looks like a big drum of some sort, an oil drum or a water drum that's buried underground with just a small opening towards the top where the walls of this drum would prevent a child from being able to crawl out of this. And down inside of it, you see a wooden dresser and then a bunch of toys and crap down in there. And that's basically all that's in there.
Yep.
And this is underneath. There was like this kind of wooden structure built over it, so it couldn't be seen from up above. It seemed like. So.
And you're not gonna hear them scream. They're closed. You're not gonna see them from the sky. Our drone didn't pick this up. It just picked up a dirty talk.
Oh, okay. That was the end of that video.
Their videos are pretty. They cut out a lot. From what I heard, there was also like ventilation down there or something. So it's not an accident that,
right.
It wasn't just somebody crawled in here and found this underground thing and lived in it. Lots of sketchy stuff. I would say, I'll just go and say right at the top, the address to this place is 101 west of Valencia Road in Tucson, Arizona. So if you're in the neighborhood, I'll probably say this a couple times during the episode. If you're in the neighborhood, be safe, but somebody needs to be looking into this.
What's going on right now, or at least when this guy started recording this, is they stumbled across this thing just outside of Tucson, and then they contacted police and law enforcement, but for a long time, law enforcement was refusing to come out and even like check up on it and see what it was.
Or anything. Yeah, they have like DNA samples, they have hair and other things. And correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but didn't they contact the FBI and the FBI just ignored them? Then they contacted the local authorities and the local authorities ignored them for a long time as well?
Yep, that seems to be the case. According to this guy, they were ignored for a long time. Finally, so they decided, they took upon themselves to get a bunch of veterans in on the property, armed themselves. I think it was just him that was armed. So they didn't it wasn't a bunch of them armed. He just was armed to prevent people from coming in and taking the evidence before things.
From what I heard, there were 4 guys initially, and 2 of them ended up getting arrested, I think for trespassing, which is a total bullshit accusation when you're looking at what we're looking at. And there's 2 other guys that have been staked out there and are refusing to leave because they're afraid that this evidence is going to get squashed or, buried because nobody is willing to look at it.
So later, because now if you are to Google, if you just Google like Tucson sex camp, the very first things that pop up is Tucson police find no evidence abandoned Southside camp is linked to child trafficking. So now police have been out there and they have come to this conclusion. There is no evidence of it, regardless of the fact some of the things that they found out there, like we said, there was a bunch of toys out there. Mm-hmm. There's several
bunch of condoms.
Cribs, a bunch of used condoms, a bunch of cribs and toys and baby car seats. And
there was like a kid's vanity mirror in the lower section and everything, which it's almost like, they want to make these kids feel like they're in a comfortable place so that it just seems normal to them. But yeah, a bunch of toys. There were like what looked like wrist restraints on the trees that were child size. No evidence of, foul play here.
Right. There's nothing linking this to child trafficking is what it said. Mm-hmm. So,
that's the shadiest thing about this. I mean, we know that child sex trafficking happens. If we stumbled across this, horrifying, yes, and let's find the people that are responsible for it, shut them down. The creepiest thing about this is that nobody is willing to report on it. Nobody is willing to investigate it. Nobody cares about it. Not only that, but they're making up complete bullshit stories that make no sense as to what the explanation is for this.
So this guy decided after 2 days of no response from law enforcement, this guy, Lewis Arthur, decided, he posted a video saying that his team were going to disassemble this camp, which people were like, oh, you're destroying evidence, blah, 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 when the police made very clear that they weren't coming out to do anything about it anyway.
Yeah, this is like a week later. I'm sure they thought that too. Like, we can't move anything because we'd be destroying evidence.
So they decided to destroy it, take all the evidence for themselves, and drop it off on the doorstep of DHS headquarters. Right. Department of Human Services.
What do you do? Like, it's a genuine concern. If nobody's paying attention to it, and not only not paying attention to it, they're like intentionally ignoring it. Like, will not do anything with it, won't make any statements really on it. What do? You gotta just, if you leave it there, they're obviously going to cover it up. I don't want to say obvious because I guess it's not obvious, but what else would they do if they're in cahoots here or anything? There is no, if somebody can come up with a way to explain why this is not being investigated, please let me know, because I could be wrong, but it seems like a whole lot of foul play is going on here.
Yeah. So when local law enforcement finally did show up, it wasn't to investigate that. It was due to, like you said, the trespassing complaints that these guys were at on their property. Supposedly, I don't know if they were saying they're vandalizing or what, but basically these guys, because fences and stuff were like tore down in order for people to get in there and do whatever was going on in there. And so this VOP group, the veteran group, was rebuilding the fences so people couldn't get back in there and stuff. So they're actually cleaning it up, fixing it, and making it better. And yet they're getting called out for trespassing. And these guys were like, look, we're not going to leave until we're done doing what we came here to do. And so they stayed, cleaned it up, and did their thing. And I mean, as far as I know, that's where that's sitting as of right now.
Yeah, one of the two guys that stayed there, I saw a video. I don't have it on hand to pull it up, but he was talking about how in the days that they've been there, like they're not leaving. They're not going to get supplies. They're having people bring them supplies because they are there, and they're not leaving till this is taken care of, which I applaud them for. But he said that they've seen different, like what appears to be like Mexican cartel people, like dark automobiles and vans and trucks and stuff. Mexican guy supposedly, what he says, came up and threatened him with a gun, and he said he's not leaving and he doesn't care. Like, clearly, I mean, why would criminals be coming and, scoping out the area, trying to figure out what's going on if that's not what was going on?
Where this site is located, from what I've heard, it's like right on a main highway that goes from Tucson straight to Mexico, like to the border.
This isn't like out in the desert. This is like really close to like the hub of town. Right. This is like less than a half a mile away from Bank of America. It's close to Southgate Academy. It's like, it's not out in the middle of nowhere. It's in like, what is it, a cement factory lot?
The property's owned by a cement company called CMEX, which is there's a lot of stuff going around about that, which we'll get into.
Sure.
But so it's kind of a construction owned area, but the interstate that goes south to the border, on either side of it is just Indian reservation all the way to the border. So it'd be an easy route to get from town straight to the border if you needed to, without really raising any suspicion.
Right.
This says here that by June 3rd, they were asking for public support through like all these YouTube videos. There was 20 or more YouTube videos that they kept posting, updating and stuff like that. The rush was to gather and secure as much evidence as possible before they were kicked off and it was destroyed. They're finding lots of children items such as jewelry, clothes, etc. They've reportedly found bloodied items like women's panties and other gruesome things that totally disproves the theory some in the corporate media want to promote as a homeless camp. Throughout the video posted on their Facebook page, Larson makes it clear that they don't want to fight the government. They just want local government to either come out and help or stay out of the way until they're finished.
They want government to give a shit. That's right. It. Like, they're not defying authority. There's... I mean, no matter how you say it, it sounds like a conspiracy theory thing, but it's like, how else can you take this? If your son was murdered, or, if you suspected that your neighbor murdered their son, and you say to the cop, hey, I saw like his stuff and I saw like evidence that went on, and the cop says, no, I'm not going to come look at it. Also, I'm going to make up different stories as to why you're wrong. Did you hear about like the stories that the guy, like they were trying to explain it away?
The guy that like came in onto the property and was like trying to say that he
made it for like his wife and his son or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I was trying to find that story. I heard about it, but I haven't actually been able to read it. But yeah, some guy was saying how he made this fort or whatever bunker for, it's not even a bunker, it's just a camp for his wife. And then
It's
he
like
was saying
a
how he made it
child
for,
dungeon. It's child size.
yeah, made it for himself. And then his son came on later saying that he was trying to confirm what his dad had said. Yeah, he made it for his wife. Then they said they made it for somebody else. And it was like a big
What
world
was
of
the wife and son doing down there with all the kids' toys and used condoms? I gotta wonder.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is no matter what the story is.
Today's the 5th. So this is kind of updating day by day. June 3rd, Facebook videos started getting taken down. No kidding. June 4th, it says, in a video recorded early Monday, Larson explains that they might finally get cadaver dogs because they were saying that they started digging, but the smell got so bad they had to stop digging because of the overwhelming smell. I haven't seen any like mainstream news sources that have covered this. Maybe they have, but from what I've seen, it's only been a couple local news channels that have actually covered this and said, is it a sex trafficking camp or is it a homeless camp? Nobody knows, but we'll let you know when we find out. Is basically how it happened.
Homeless camp with children's toys, really small dungeons, wrist
Used
restraints,
condoms.
child size, used condoms, children's vanity mirrors, homeless people type stuff,
And now apparently, according to several sites, cadaver dogs are needed. So possibly dead bodies. Homeless camp dead bodies. Larson, it says, video, Larson explains he might finally get their cadaver dogs. He reveals he received a call from DC explaining that the reason all of this has been happening is because the Indian reservation bordering the property is allegedly holding a key cartel leader and that they might have to kill the cartel leader rather than transport him somewhere if Larson keeps up his occupation and media coverage. What? That's a development that I haven't heard.
Quite.
Larson is not totally convinced and makes it clear he is more concerned about saving kids than saving a drug cartel leader. He calls on other veterans who are considering suicide to come out and help them uncover and guard the evidence to help stop sex trafficking, which would
I don't think you have to be considering suicide, but I suppose you got nothing to lose at that point.
Basically, yeah, this would give their lives more meaning, is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why they included that, but okay. Let's see. Apparently, they have their own cadaver dogs coming out. This was all yesterday. So,
by they, you're talking about the VOP Alpha.
Yeah, VOP people, yeah, are bringing in their own because they can't get help from anybody.
Right.
I don't see any updates from today, so we'll have to get back on, maybe do like a follow-up, like a bonus episode follow-up, see where
we will cover this as much as we have to, and we'll do a midweek episode if we have to as well. And if some giant new development comes out before Monday, I'll post this early, and then we'll do another one for Monday, because this needs to be freaking talked about. And if I can get one of the guys on to talk about it, I'll bring them on too.
Right.
So, yeah, continue.
According to local Tucson News 4, KVOA, it says, Tucson police find no evidence abandoned Southside camp is linked to child sex trafficking. So this article says, in Tucson, a group called Veterans on Patrol believes a remote area off I-19 and Valencia Road is a child sex trafficking camp. I don't understand how this was underneath our nose, yet right in front of our face completely. Tucsonan Christina Alvarado said. However, Tucson police strongly dispute this. Tucson Police Department investigators have been to the site multiple times with detectives and officers, according to Sergeant Pete Duggan with the TPD. It appears to be nothing more than an abandoned camp. Police say they appreciate public awareness and the calls to their office, but they investigated and there does not appear to be any signs of human or sex trafficking. Police say they are continuing.
So are they saying that the VOP guys are liars? Because if they're not liars, then there's at least a lot of evidence.
Yeah. In the very least, there's quite a bit of evidence that you should possibly take a look at. It says, police say they're continuing to investigate. They also tell News 4 Tucson anyone on the private property is trespassing. Convenient. The department has yet to make an arrest. Anybody that walks through the site will clearly know that it's sex trafficking, VOP spokeswoman Addie Rivera said. That's children and women being abused. They have not been out here to collect any evidence, and we have them in our possession. So we have the evidence is what the spokeswoman for VOP is saying.
So did they already...
It's a big freaking
So
cover.
they already gathered up all the stuff and took it? Or is that still in the works?
The last that I read was from yesterday, and that was still going on yesterday. So there wasn't an update on the site that I was reading all those daily updates from for today. So I'm not sure where they got with that. So it seems...
You can name the site.
This is healthimpactnews.com.
Because I want people to be looking into this as much as possible. And also, we should name the show that we heard about this first on, because people need to be regularly updated, and we don't do it as well as they do. So
where I got the information from was the Quite Frankly podcast. It's basically a daily update of all this non-trending news. Is a lot of it is a lot of the news we just don't hear about, and a lot of it is trending news. It's just his kind of take. It's kind of what we do on our bonus episode, minus the BSing around that we do.
Yes, it's like what we do, only good.
Yeah, a serious yet good take on what's going on in the news. So if you really want to hear what's going on currently, he does this. I think it's usually around 8 o'clock every night. He does a live feed and then uploads it to all the podcasting sites. You can find it on YouTube or anywhere you find podcasts. It's just the Quite Frankly podcast. And so if you want to stay up to date, definitely listen to his stuff.
Yeah, he does a great job, and I'm sure he'll be, as this thing unfolds, he'll be giving daily updates on it. So definitely check that out.
Right.
Anyway, what else you got?
So as with every child pedophilia, sex trafficking story that comes out, obviously people find the Clinton connections with it.
Yes, you're going to talk about the CMEX stuff.
But it's really crazy how there is always at least a rabbit trail back somehow, and there are more trails to corruptions with the Clintons than there are with Hitler. Like everything that you hear about that is bad. If somebody at the local McDonald's made my cheeseburger wrong, you could probably find a way to trail it back to Hillary and Bill Clinton. The oddest thing to me is the fact that the mayor of this town, his last name is Rothschild.
Yep, Jonathan Rothschild, I believe it is.
The mayor is Jonathan Rothschild. I don't know. They haven't released if he's actually a part of the big giant Rothschild family, banking family, but there's more ties to the Rothschild family, apparently, supposedly, than this. CMEX is the cement company we were talking about, and CMEX is kind of internet. It's a national in the least. Some people say it's an international. Here's a site that connects this to the Rothschilds, the Nexium sex cult that we've talked about. Why don't you go ahead and
pull up the site if you can?
All right. I forgot we can share. All right, so I'm going to share this. You can take a look at this. So this is the, it says Rothschilds and Nexium sex cult tied to alleged sex trafficking land in Tucson. It says land owned by CMEX, a multinational building materials company headquartered in Mexico, is at the center of a controversy in Tucson, Arizona, where citizens they say they have uncovered a sex trafficking bunker with local authorities have refused to examine. After alerting local and federal law enforcement about the situation and receiving no help, Veterans on Patrol, VOP, rallied local volunteers together to physically dig up the site. VOP has amassed a groundswell of support and has vowed to keep the uncooperative law enforcement entities out of the site while they conduct a private investigation. They're hopeful to bring cadaver dogs onto the site. Okay, we all already talked about that. Let's find this connection. The Rothschild connection to CEMEX is clear. Bronfman E.L. Rothschild LP, a wealth management firm for high net value clients, owns a substantial share of the concrete giant. You can see right here in the middle of the screen, it shows that they own a share of the company. It doesn't seem that significant to me because it says Bronfman Rothschild boosted its stake by 3.1%. I don't know how much total they own, but it says company's stock worth 100,000 after buying 333 shares. That doesn't seem like that big of a share, but there's that connection back to the Rothschilds, which the Bronfman Rothschild connection to me is odd because it's also connected directly to the NXIVM cult, because Bronfman, one of the Bronfmans was, we had talked in one of the bonus episodes, she was like one of the high in command of that NXIVM thing that was going on. And she was the one that supposedly hacked her dad's computer to get information about like world leaders and stuff. So this continues on to say the mayor of Tucson is named Jonathan Rothschild, but it's unconfirmed whether he is related to the dynastic family. Chairman of the board of Bronfman E.L. Rothschild is Matthew Bronfman, one of the heirs to the Seagram's liquor fortune. His sister Claire is the operations director of the NXIVM sex cult. It says the Clinton-connected NXIVM sex cult. I don't really understand how that's connected to Clinton just yet. But
I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way.
However, this CEMEX group has made considerable donations to the Clinton Foundation, apparently. So has NXIVM's made considerable donations to the Clinton Foundation. So somehow it always comes back to the Clinton Foundation. All these like crap groups or groups that get under the radar end up, hey, they've made contributions to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, so, and I would like to figure out the exact ties because I don't want to be the conspiracy people that are like, this person knew that person, therefore the Clintons knew all about this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's always that connection back with conspiracy people. I just wanted to show that people are making this connection. I'm not saying it's connected, but it's worth a mention.
To do further research.
Right. This says Bronfman's sister Claire is the operations director of the Clinton Connection. His other sister, Sarah Bronfman, is a Clinton Global Initiative member. So they are connected to the Clintons. At least the Bronfmans are, which the Bronfman Rothschild group has at least a small amount of ownership in the CEMEX cement group, which is the property where this sex dungeon was found. So there's not too many steps to get from Tucson, Arizona sex dungeon to Hillary Clinton in this one. Right. I mean, it might be minor with this Rothschild Bronfman stock ownership. That might be minor, but still, it's only like 4 steps, and there's Hillary Clinton right there. So,
what's this website again? Because, I like that you guys are trying to be all serious and actually reporting on important things and details, but throwing up a CPAP snoring machine as an ad right next to it just kind of distracted me the whole time you were talking about it, or ads for shoes.
This is called big league politics. So right. I'm not saying
it's legit because they called themselves big league.
Right. So I had another one, but this wasn't anymore. This was the Free Thought Project, which is obviously super conspiratory.
They put out some good stuff.
Yeah, they do, but they also put out some stuff that's like, I
don't follow them that closely, but Facebook will occasionally recommend something to me, and I'll be like, yeah, that's good. I haven't actually looked into their stuff extensively.
So I think this is the exact same article, actually, but it popped up on the Free Thought Project. So I want to like I said, I don't think there's a super strong case to make there, but it is really strange that it is only like 4 or 5 steps away from Tucson to Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
and the fact that they're covering it so intently is what it seems like. They're trying to cover it up. Wouldn't surprise me, looking at some of the stuff we've covered in the Pizzagate stuff and how quickly that got brushed under. And that's why when I listened to the podcast today, the Quite Frankly one, and it seemed like things were starting to disappear really quickly. I'm like, dude, you got to listen. You got to look this up right now. Don't do anything else.
You texted me and said, put everything down and look up. We haven't really said what the name of the hashtag is. And I don't remember it offhand because
the hashtag is hashtag. Hang on, let me double check.
Backyard Brawl.
Yeah. Let me just make sure that's the exact one. Operation Backyard Brawl. There you go. Hashtag Operation Backyard Brawl. And so,
do you know the meaning behind the name? Because it's another one that makes me, when I hear it, I think of like dudes doing, generic WWE wrestling in their backyard. What is the meaning behind that? The same with Pizzagate. Like, who's coming up with these things? Who's their PR person? It's not working for me.
I had seen a sign on that first one that I pulled up, that first article I was reading out of, that there was a sign posted on the site that was saying something to the cartel to stay out of our backyards. Here, let me see if I can find the picture now. No, maybe not. I know I saw it on this page, but yeah, it basically was a sign that they had posted up on the camp that said, "Dear cartel, stay out of our backyards, leave our children alone." Gotcha. Here it is right here. "Dear cartel, you have entered our backyard and harmed our children. We are coming for you." So that's probably something to do with why it's called Backyard Brawl.
I love that there are people in the world that are like this. They're like,
that are taking it on themselves.
Right. You want to know why? You want to know why I don't trust the government? Not only does the DMV suck, but also, this, like, nothing worth looking into. If there was any normal case of anything like this that wouldn't possibly implicate people, like, that is the only way that I can see any of this making any sense, why they would not want to look into it. You know why I don't trust the government? Because when you find, and we should pull up some videos here in a second so people can see some more of what the camp looked like, but when you come across a camp, like a small camp that has children's toys and condoms, leave it there. You throw all the other stuff out the window. You got some things that you should probably be concerned about and looking into. When you throw in cribs and dungeons and wrist restraints and all sorts of things, and the FBI won't look into it, the local police won't look into it. That's the problem here. That's why I'm not trusting these people.
Go back and look at Pizzagate again. The things we talked about there. Nothing really to concern ourselves about. There's nothing here. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to look at. Nothing concerning us. So, guy takes it on himself to investigate for himself. And now this guy is a nutcase for the rest of his life. He's been deemed a nutcase who went in and shot up the place.
No, he walked in with a gun. To my knowledge, he didn't shoot anything. He's like a homicidal maniac in everybody's eyes. And Pizzagate is obviously debunked because an Alex Jones fanatic walked in with a gun.
So where do you think that makes me wonder? What's Alex Jones saying about all this?
I get regular updates from Alex Jones, and I haven't seen anything, but I could be wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get anything.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering where this guy and this group is going to end up after all this is over. Are they going to be nut jobs who had a standoff on this property and
If I hear any word of a standoff, I'm going to be looking at my schedule and seeing when my next wedding is that I have to film,
Right.
because I might be taking a road trip.
This guy has clearly said, this is not a standoff. I am the only one armed at this point, just to keep people that don't need to be here out. He's like, we are not planning a shootout. We are not planning on anything. We're planning
Does this
on
sound
being
familiar at all? Sound like anybody from, somewhere in Texas?
right. Yeah, let's see
Some sort of.
what happens here.
Wait, what are these people's religion? Because that will define whether or not they're a crazy cult that can be, destroyed and burned at the stake for no reason.
Well, these guys are former military, which means they're probably super
PTSD. They're crazy. They're
super conservative, which means they're racist and Nazis.
There you go.
Yeah, they're Nazis.
This shit writes itself. And meanwhile, people are freaking out about frickin' Starbucks removing loiterers from their store, and Stormy Daniels and Roseanne Barr and what's her face? I don't even care to say her name.
It's amazing how we were saying all this noise that's going on. What's really going on right now?
Right.
Last week with the whole Roseanne thing and Samantha B, is that her name? Who cares?
Yes.
And then this was actually happening while we were saying that, and we had no freaking clue about it until today, when we're like, oh, somebody's actually covering something different.
Yep.
And this popped up, and I didn't even mean to click on. I saw Operation Backyard Brawl. I thought this was like a bunch of people like in Congress or whatever duking it out just on Twitter or something. Is what it sounded like. Like you said, it sounds like a dumb
It sounds like a distraction piece.
Yeah, it sounds like a bitch fight or something that happened. I'm like, what happened this time? So I clicked on the episode, and I'm like, what is going on? And this is how we got to this tonight, where it's like, stop everything. We're doing this now. Yeah,
and, meanwhile, the media is covering all this nonsense, and the police are like, really... The Tucson police, I'm sure they have a lot of big cases on their hands, like, teens smoking weed and getting the munchies and all those really important offenses. Meanwhile, who knows if I use that term lightly, but with this case, there's probably more in the area. And that if somebody smells something going on in the water, like if any of these cartels or anybody, senses that something's going on, which they've clearly been alerted to it by now. Who knows how many more of these camps there are? Who knows if there's kids locked in dungeons right now that aren't being investigated, that might have been abandoned, as bad as it was when the guys were there taking care of them. The double meaning. As bad as it was, they were at least alive, and there could be children starving right now on this path that, is leading straight down to Mexico and bad hombres.
Right. Here is kind of a little outline of the stuff that this website, commonsenseshow.com, I'm not sure what that is, but they just kind of summarized all the details. Said they found combs with blonde hair, boxes with children's toys. Next to the toys are used condoms. Graves have been discovered. VOP said they stopped digging when the smell got so bad they had to stop. They need to resume digging, so they're buying gas masks. Television in Tucson is mocking the reports of the VOP. Tucson police and FBI refused to come to the scene. We talked about that. The property in question is owned by CMEX. Police have given them until Monday, which was yesterday, to vacate the premise. So maybe I would hope by tomorrow we could hear what actually ended up coming out of this. Because, apparently they were giving till yesterday to get out. Restraints embedded in trees, which I'm going to show that video, along with bone-cutting saws and Playboy magazines nearby, along with used condoms.
You'll see. Heard about the saws and Playboys.
Yeah. I heard about the Playboys. I didn't hear about the saws. So that seems to be all from that. Here's this video of him kind of going through it.
Real quick, and I'll mention this again, but before we get into the video, speaking of CMEX, I keep wanting to say Cinemax. Speaking of CMEX, if anybody is interested in contacting them, their media relations person is either George or Jorge. I'm assuming it's Jorge Perez, and you can contact him at +52 81 8888 4334 or at his email mrcmex@cmex.com. And I'll say that again too, because let's contact this person who will inevitably know nothing about this incident.
Obviously.
Let's take a break here real quick and we'll jump into the videos after that. Hey, Dan Smots here. I'm taking a second to interrupt myself talking to talk about myself because, you know, I don't get paid a penny for the hours and hours that I put into creating this show for you guys in your greedy little ears, and I've got a family to feed. To make that happen, I run my own media business called Goulash Media. If you have a need in anything from video production to graphic design to audio production and beyond, you can get it all for a painfully fair price at Goulash Media. In video, I do weddings, music videos, commercials, pageants, plays, etc., etc., etc. For design, I do photo editing, album art, logos, branding, business cards, merchandise, you name it. For audio, I do engineering, production, editing, jingles, and, well, podcasts. So if you've got a media need of any kind, or if you'd just like to give a little something back and help keep my children fed, check out all the endless options at my website, goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where we cater to the little guy with the big vision. Okay. All right, we keep talking about it. Roll the clip.
All right. There you go.
We just picked up a dirty talk.
All right, here it looks like wrist restraints on a tree. I don't know what, for the life of me, what else those would be used for there.
Hanging a hammock.
Right there, grape tree.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
This is the main spot under the awning right there where those are. Those are slip restraints too.
Coyotes. Where were those?
Oh,
Where were those kids' toys you were showing me?
They're in here. Yeah, different cribs.
I don't think you saw this. I already touched this one.
Oh yeah, it's different Barbie dolls.
And I'm going to volunteer my time to go down and film this stuff worth a shit.
This is a bed,
Right.
child's bed here.
There's a little mat. I
Yeah.
guess when they let them out, when you see the underground
right there
tunnels,
to your
it's pretty
right.
sick. There's different cribs and different chairs and car seats scattered around this area.
Show the bathroom.
Different sizes of shoes of children. We come over here.
So
be
another
harder.
break. Another break there for the listener. Craig, if you're expecting to be a producer of any kind, you're going to have to get that virus off your computer called Windows and switch over to Mac. But let's get into... So in this video, it jumps into the local News 4 report. I think it'd be good to go ahead and play that, and we can have some commentary on that just to see like what the news, the local news, has to say about this stuff. Let's go ahead.
Here.
In the area of Valencia 919. News 4 Tucson's Lupita Murillo is live at the site now with the latest details. Lupita, what can you tell us?
Well, Angelique, the group was looking for homeless veterans, but instead they found this abandoned camp. Now, this camp has a mirror, and right behind it is this table. And on the table, you can see shaving cream, flea and tick shampoo, roach and ant killer. And right behind it, this area where people probably slept.
Oh,
Probably.
like that's news.
Well,
Someone was, the
here, let me
bunker
pause
with an
that.
entrance.
I feel like that was to almost negate everything that was being said there.
Or the stuff that they're about to show. Probably slept over here. Wow. Also, here's restraints on trees.
Well, it almost seems like, yeah, all these people are saying this stuff, and look at that, a nefarious bed where people slept. Like almost like poking fun at the stuff that they're actually saying. But anyway, keep going.
That only a child could get into.
and we saw the name Hello Maddie written on the top of it, and it became something so terrifying in such a short time.
Danny Ward is a volunteer with Veterans on Patrol. They came upon this abandoned camp on Tuesday. They say,
This place is meant for child trafficking. It's meant for torturous, terrible things that should never happen to a small child, let alone anyone.
while they found numerous children's items in the camp, such as toys and clothes, there's no official investigation saying this camp was used for child trafficking.
Makes sense.
Been there. They've also taken pictures, and they say they're turning it over to detectives.
Mhm.
What detectives?
Right.
So is this a homeless camp, or is it a camp that was trafficking children? We don't know, but we'll find out for you and let you know.
Bullshit. Pause. You notice how they show the entrance to the little kiddie dungeon there, but they don't actually go in and show you what was inside the dungeon.
Yeah, they don't show you any of the juicy stuff there. Did they even show the like restraints and stuff in that one?
They showed a quick shot of it right before they switched over to the one girl, which was what I was talking about. Right after she said beds where maybe people slept. Then she's like, they show that with zero commentary, trees with what looks like restraints on it, and then we go back to something else. Yeah. So they're like, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. How about you let us know what is there now?
Right.
Start with that.
They were quick to point out like the flea and tick shampoo.
Exactly. The important details.
But not the used condoms for some reason.
Not the used condoms, not the children's toys, not, all the crib. I think they showed a brief shot of the crib, but they didn't really talk about it at all.
Right.
And some people have said that maybe it's like a camp for a refugee family or something because it had toys and stuff. But if that were the case, like from what I've seen, there's a lot of toys. Like there's a really good amount of toys. Who is like bringing in refugees and throwing them up in this like trashy camp with no shelter or anything in the woods, and then they're focusing more on making sure the children are entertained than that they have a roof over their heads.
Right. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss with this one.
Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the CMEX? Do you think that they have something to do with it, or do you think that it is just happens to be on their property that might be, somewhat not even used?
That one's really hard to say. Like I said, I hate being those conspiracy nuts that tie it to like bigger things and better things. But I mean, that's kind of what we do anyway. But
so go for it.
I don't know. There's got to be something here with the way the police aren't really doing anything about it. The city's not doing anything about it. Nobody's really saying anything besides, oh, it's just a homeless shelter. So there's obviously more to this than just like some Mexican cartel guys that came up and are kidnapping children. I think the town's got at least something to do with it. Like some town officials have to have something to do with it, the way they're so quick to cover it up. And it's ties back to the Pizzagate thing where it was like a big thing and then all of a sudden it wasn't a thing and it was just a crazy thing again, and people were just real quick to brush it under the rug. It's like when people are that quick to dismiss something, it makes me think that there's got to be more going on to it, because otherwise why wouldn't you just humor us and do a little research, do a little investigating?
Right. Like
if nothing is going on, what do you have to really lose?
Right. Yeah. And, if I'm going to go hypothetical and say, let's say that CMEX plays a part in this. A cement company. This is a cement company that's based in Mexico. They have, they're setting up shop in, well, they currently have it in the United States, obviously. They're setting up shop in Haiti. They have a shop in one of the other countries that implicated the Clintons. Can't remember it offhand. Another third world country. Like, if you wanted a really easy way to transport children, how easy would it be with, big cement trucks, big cement locations? And if something started to come out, how easy would it be to cover it up
That's
with
what I was gonna say.
the cement business?
How easy would it be to dispose?
Your child could suddenly be the foundation of the next Clinton Tower, which is not a thing, but the next whatever. Like, it would be very easy to dispose of the evidence. And it's pretty well known and common that a lot of times, if there's like child trafficking from a lesser country like Mexico, I'm going to say it's a lesser country, based on the evidence.
Right.
But if
People don't go from better countries to worse countries, they go from lesser countries.
right, Mexico is not concerned about a border wall to keep us out. Anyway, so it's pretty well known that, like, if a family is trying to come into the country from Mexico, there's a chance that there's a really good chance that they're going to be being helped by drug cartels who already work in that business. And if this poor destitute family that's trying to get out of poverty is trying to get into the United States, they don't have the money to pay somebody who deals in drugs. So they come over, they're helped over, and they make an agreement that says, when you get here, you don't have to pay us right away, but we're going to keep a kid or two. And when you're able to pay us back, then please do so. It's not far-fetched. It's not uncommon. It's not unwell known. And if this Mexican cement company is run by humans who have, a good chance of being corrupt as humans are, what are the odds that they're not going to... I mean, we've all seen Breaking Bad. We all know how easy it is to make money if you really want to and you live on the border. It doesn't sound far-fetched to me at all. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there's definitely the possibilities there. They've got the resources to do whatever needed to be done, to dispose of, to transport, to do all of it. And I don't think that the cement company is like the brains or whatever behind any operation of any sort. If anything, like you were saying, if they're anything, they're like mules. They're
right.
Child mules, which is really disgusting and hard to say, but I don't like, the whole thing just blows my mind to me. And just the fact that it's so underreported. Like, I just typed in Tucson sex camp and clicked the news tab on Google. And the very top is Arizona Daily Star, so local news, says no evidence to support child sex trafficking claim. Tucson News, local. Tucson police find no evidence of Southside camp linked to sex trafficking. Arizona Daily Star, local. No evidence of sex trafficking. Channel 12 News, KPNX. I'm pretty sure this is local. Police, no evidence abandoned Tucson camp was used for sex trafficking.
No evidence. No evidence. Not like still under investigation. No evidence.
KGUN, which I think was that first one that was on the scene that we just watched. KGUN says on May 31st, so this was right when it was probably first being discovered. It says underground bunker possibly used for human trafficking for children. Okay. So this goes down through the first page of news. It's no main national media coverage whatsoever. Right. You click on page 2 and it turns to Weinstein indicted in sex case. So it goes away by page 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how Google's news is, it's just usually report after this person saying it and that person saying it and this person
got, 12 there? 12 that even acknowledged it?
I've got...
And 11 of the 12 saying no evidence and one saying maybe?
Right. So that's how underreported this thing is, and like I said, absolutely no national coverage. Hey, my monitor came back.
If your monitor's back, go ahead and pull up a screen share and let's not live, but this is the first time we're looking into this, but pull up Snopes and see what they have to say about it.
Ooh. Tucson sex camp Snopes.
Screen share.
We're gonna read this together, all of us. By all of us, I mean you, me, and anyone who's going to be watching. We're going to do this together so we get the same reaction at the same time. Do you see this Google screen?
Did veterans discover a disturbing child trafficking? Snopes.com.
Fact check. There it is. Right there.
Did veterans discover a disturbing child trafficking bunker in Tucson? Giant false. 6 days after it's even been discovered, Snopes knows what is true and what's not. Zero evidence, no evidence of anything. Yep. Despite what we just talked about for an hour.
Because usually, a lot of times, if Snopes doesn't fully know, they'll be like mostly false, or
that's false.
Yeah, this one's just blatantly false. It says in late May and early June. This is the origin. It says, in late May, early June, conspiratorial website, the Free Thought Project, reported that a group of veterans had stumbled upon a disturbing bunker in Tucson, Arizona, that was being used for child sex trafficking. I don't think it first came up on the Free Thought Project. That's where they're wrong. Like, it was local, obviously, before the Free Thought Project reported on it.
Mm-hmm.
Says when the veteran group...
I'm guessing it probably popped up on VOP Alpha Co. Team Pulaski's page, since they're the ones who are posting the videos.
Says, according to the Tucson Police Department, the group stumbled on private property on 31 May 2018 off Interstate 19 and West Valencia Road in Tucson. But what they found is nothing more than abandoned homeless encampment. In a statement of the incident posted on their public Facebook page, Tucson police reported, we didn't see this.
Get it.
The report from the Tucson Police Department on their Facebook page, apparently according to Snopes, says several individuals from a group of affiliated homeless veterans discovered the site and expressed concern about possible criminal activity at the location. Tucson Police Department officers, detectives, and command staff conducted a thorough inspection of the site, spoke to the reporting parties, and collected evidence. Based on the department's investigation to this point, there is no indication the camp is being used for any type of criminal activity, including human trafficking. Yesterday, an unsubstantiated assertion was made that a body might be buried at the site. Cadaver dog was used to check the area with negative results.
So a cadaver dog has been used?
According to Snopes and the Tucson Police Department, yes.
Mm. Two people that, if I were a YouTube blogger, I would title this Snopes and Tucson Police Department allegations debunked 100%.
Mm. It says, he also said the department has had officers, detectives, and command staff at the site investigating since the initial report, along with human trafficking experts, and that no evidence of human trafficking has been found. Lots of times people in homeless camps will use tether straps or cloth, anything to help hang clothing, food, or even trash to keep it off the ground and away from animals. Now we're stretching. I feel like we're really stretching now.
I'll hear him out. I'll hear anybody out. Give them the stretch benefit of the doubt.
You will see myriad type of things that they collect and use. There was a crib there that had a bunch of stuff in it, along with all kinds of different things. A bunch of stuff.
You know what homeless people usually bring to their camp? Cribs.
And a bunch of things, along with all kinds of other different things.
That is for the audio people, the audio listeners, that is a quote.
Quote, there was a crib there that had a bunch of stuff in it, along with all kinds of other different things, or all kinds of different things. Mm-hmm. But there was no evidence of any trafficking or any criminal activity in that area. Well, I see
How
this
about
paragraph. No, we got to
cartel
read this
people
paragraph.
showing up and threatening you with guns?
Here's this paragraph. Despite the fact no credible evidence has surfaced indicating the site was anything more than a shelter used by a local homeless population, conspiracy theorists have latched on to the suggestion of pedophilia, as they so often do. This doesn't sound biased at all.
Go kill yourself.
In late 2016, outlandish rumors circulated that Hillary Clinton was running a pedophilia ring out of Washington, D.C. pizza parlor. So they're not even saying now, they're not saying, oh, conspiracy theorists are obviously connecting this to Pizzagate.
Right.
They are taking it upon themselves to say, kind of like what they did in 2016.
Kind of like that obviously debunked thing that if you look it up on Snopes, it'll say it's debunked and it'll say how ridiculous and absurd it is.
Since then, a veritable cottage industry of disreputable websites have regularly hawked clickbait stories about elite pedophile rings, which are obviously debunked. Oh, this one even ties in the Rothschilds and the Nexium sex cult. They're just doing our job for us by saying...
Yeah, they're showing all of the stuff if people really want to look into it, but then they're saying, nope, it's all false.
Yeah, they're basically saying kind of like the false Nexium cult and kind of like the false Rothschild thing and the conspiracy theories of George Soros it brings up and false flags and mass casualties and taking guns
also,
away.
Some people think 9/11 was an inside job because jet fuel can't melt steel, and it definitely can't melt steel from a building that didn't get hit by a plane.
The one that, the stuff that I just said are actually all listed in this next paragraph. Like
Holy
all
crap.
that stuff. They're just like, lump sum all these stupid conspiracy theories together, and we got another one here on our hands. Thank you, Snopes. Thank you for proving us right that you are
worthless,
a pile of crap.
Yes. So if you don't have anything else, I'll give my thank yous. Anything else?
I think that about wraps it up. I mean, we've covered what's out there so far.
Right.
And what's probably
again, we will cover more in the future, I'm sure.
That's if we can find more.
Right.
I was going to say we've covered as much as we can so far, which might be the most we will be able to obtain at all, because it'll probably start to dwindle really quickly at this point, I think.
Sure, as long as people allow it to. So I would say go out and tell somebody about it. And here's my thank yous. Big thank you to the Quite Frankly podcast. Thank you, and sorry we're not trying to steal your story. I'm sure you understand that, being a person in this area. Thank you for turning us on to this, because we had no idea about it, and it needs to be talked about, even if there isn't any shred of evidence, which there is, as we've pointed out. Huge thank you to the VOP Alpha Co. Team Pulaski. It's really hard to say, but I will post a link to their Facebook in whatever else I can find of theirs. I'll post it in the show notes and the show description, so go check them out and help them in any way that you can. Finally, the most thanks to CMEX Media Relations, Jorge Perez at +5281 8888 or email at MR, which stands for Media Relations and not Mr. CMEX, mr@cmex.com. If you guys trust your government still, then ask them. Please go to them and ask them, why don't you care about this? I trust you. I know you have my best intentions in mind, so could you please look into this a little bit, because I'm going to completely blindly trust you and assume that you're just overlooking this somehow. Also, if you're in the area, again, stay safe, but 101 West Valencia Road is where this took place, or where this is still currently at or being removed from, probably as we speak, in Tucson, Arizona.
Like I said, as of a week or so ago, like, they were letting people come in and help them out. They were calling for like public help and stuff like that. But apparently, according to that one report that we read, the police were kicking them out yesterday and like closing the area off. So
sure.
It might be a little bit more difficult to get in there to help out, but I'm sure you can get
if you can't get in there, if you're in the area, if you're local, go down there, film it, see what's going on. See, like, we need all eyes on this stuff. They can only film so much. Clearly, they don't have the best filming equipment, which is fine. But go down there, help them in any way that you can. Film, like, if they're getting kicked out, if they're getting, arrested, film it, and then come on my show afterwards. You can contact me at dan@tsidpod.com. But Craig, any final thoughts on the latest American tragedy and abomination that is the, I would say, blatant cover-up of a child sex trafficking ring in Tucson, Arizona?
My final thoughts, it just keeps coming to this point where we're like, this is it. This is the big one. It's happening now. And then the door just slams shut in our face. And as quickly as it opens, and we're all made to look like a bunch of idiots. But
that's the plan.
I just don't think there's that many coincidences in the world,
Right.
Like when we discussed Pizzagate and stuff and all the oddities in the language with the emails and all that. And then with this one, it's all the oddities of the stuff that's there, and they try to explain it away as, that they just use that to tie things up. And
this isn't code that we might be misrepresenting.
This is like visual
things.
We can see it for ourselves on the videos. So I don't know. I hope people keep talking about this. I hope they don't just brush this one off, because I don't want it to disappear until we get some serious answers this time.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, child sex trafficking happens. That's a well-known common occurrence in a horrifying tragedy. But when it is discovered in a place where it's probably pretty high traffic area, and the cops and the government, the FBI, nobody seems to give a shit, even the local news media people, maybe it's time to start, questioning some things and staying uncomfortable. Craig, thanks for bringing this to my attention, and hopefully we can do our best in helping, at least bring it to light, if nothing else. But thanks for being here.
Yep. Have a good one.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end and listening. I know this was a very unconventional episode for us. I would love to be able to report more on this type of thing as it's breaking and get the news out to you guys, because you're not going to find it too many other places. Again, shout out to the Quite Frankly podcast, because they're doing a great job and keeping up on this stuff much better than we are. And they're one of our main sources of information, because Frank does an amazing job. Check out their podcast and stay up on this stuff. Go check out the VOP Alpha Co Team Pulaski Facebook page. I'll link it in the show description and the show notes so you guys can find that. Go tell them how awesome of a job they're doing. Support them if they ask for money, which I'm pretty sure they're not taking any donations, because this is not a way to sell anything or make money. They are seriously trying to uncover this stuff. And again, I heard rumor. Craig texted me a little bit ago and said they found some children's body parts at one of these camps. So we're going to be giving you guys some updates. Go dig into it on your own. Spread the word. Tell everybody about this thing. It needs to be out there. Don't let them squash it. Go join the Downers Club. It's now on Patreon. Patreon.com/The System Is Down. Shout out to Sean Kushat, who signed up for the Downers Club this week, our latest member. And we've got a bunch of people switching over to the Patreon stuff because it's going way, way better. And I'm going to give you guys everything that I can and still try and keep the fun nonsense entertainment flowing over in the Downers Club group, so you guys can get a little bit of a break from this heavy stuff. But yeah, go check that out. tsidpod.com/support or patreon.com/The System Is Down. Go get in the System Is Down forum. Just type in the System Is Down forum on Facebook and I'll let you in, no problem. Blah, blah, blah. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. iTunes. I don't think I need to tell you that, guys, this stuff. You're getting smarter every single day because of this show. Just kidding. you guys are awesome. I really appreciate all your support, helping build this thing, move it forward. I've got some huge plans in the works to ramp things up and seriously make it 1,000 times more interactive and more exciting for you guys to take part in. So stay tuned for that. Every dollar that you guys contribute helps go towards that. I know a lot of podcasts probably say every dollar that we get goes back to giving something to you guys, but I am dead serious that every dollar that you contribute at this point is going to be going back to making this thing 1,000 times bigger and better. So please keep the donations coming. I really appreciate you guys more than anything. And go out, have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody this week. I'll be back here first thing next Monday morning, of course. If you'll have me back in your ears, I'd be happy to be there. Until then, you guys, keep an eye on this thing, question everything, stay uncomfortable. I'll talk to you then. This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.